Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Joshua Blue, and I just wanted to talk about something that's been heavy on my mind lately is staying comfortably numb and what that means and how dangerous it is. What I mean by comfortably numb is using substances or, distractions to keep yourself from doing what you're truly supposed to be doing. And those things you're truly supposed to be doing, you probably feel resistance, you probably feel scared, you probably feel fear, and that's actually a really good sign because those feelings produce growth within this context. And I want to talk about my version of this is I've been sober 3.5 years from alcohol, and I've been sober from cannabis use for 17 days now. And I just want to talk about how cannabis is the lesser of the evil we hear, and it's got great side effects. I'm not going to lie about that. And I'm not going to demonize cannabis because I've seen some cases where it's truly helped people. But I'm one of those people I cannot justify saying it truly helps me. Now, Josh, what do you mean by that? Well, cannabis to me is the lesser of the evil, but it's still evil. But you hear people say, well, it's not that bad. It helps with clarity, focus, anxiety, sleep, flow. And I'm going to be honest and tell you, for me, it was just another pattern of numbing. For a long time, mine was alcohol. And it's easy with alcohol because it's legal. And it's easy to get. It's everywhere. Every store, every gas station. It's not as demonized. It's not a drug. It's not, you know what I'm saying? But the health effects were terrible. And I lost a lot of things. I lost a lot of good people. I was an evil person. And that really wasn't the alcohol's fault. Let me be honest and say it just lowered my inhibitions enough to justify being a nasty person, doing nasty things. Well, I went through months of counseling. I had a great addiction counselor. And truthfully, it was just a way to numb myself, and instead of feeling those feelings, it was another way to escape responsibilities. So, it's not the alcohol's fault, it was mine. But I really want to hit on cannabis because I'm 17 days sober from it. And I've used cannabis on and off since I was about 18. A couple years not using it in between there, but I've used it for most of my life, you could say. And once I just was really aware of myself in the moment, I was like, wow, I'm using this to sit on the couch, to stay in my head, to not go out and feel my feelings, to not go in public and show myself and feel that social awkwardness, to not talk to people, to not make YouTube videos, to not work out, to not go out and grow, to not be the best man I can, because it's just, you're comfortably numb. And it's easy. It's the easy thing to do, and that's the hard part. It's the easy thing to do. When any other time you're sitting on the couch and you're like, oh fuck, what about the bills this month? Damn, fuck, I didn't work out yesterday. I know I should have. But when you take that puff or that vape or that toke or, whatever your method of use is, you can sit on that couch and just be like, ah, man, nothing's wrong. Everything's good. I can just sit here. I can just think about it. It's not that bad. Oh man, I'll do that later. I got tomorrow. And man, I just really trapped myself, and I'm just asking all of you to not demonize it, because to call something bad is ignorant, in my opinion. Things are not black and white. Consciousness and awareness is an amazing, ever-evolving skill, and it'll really, literally change your life or save your life. And if this sounds like anything you guys are doing, I don't want you to have shame or guilt or be hard on yourselves, because I used that for years, and it did a lot of damage to me. It did a lot of damage to my self-worth, to my confidence, to my family, to my friends, to jobs. So what I recommend you doing in those moments, I'm going to actually give you things that help me. I'm not going to give you surface level bullshit self-help content. When you go to use that thing, that cannabis, that drink, okay. But when you do, tell yourself, I'm going to be aware of myself. So I used cannabis. I went and sat on my couch, and I was like, I'm just going to be aware of myself. I'm going to watch myself. I'm going to use my mind's eye, non-judgmentally, and just see what's going on. And I notice, I was buried with worry before I used it. I use it. I go inside, I sit on the couch, and I'm just complete enlightenment, right? Just sitting on the couch, laid back. But I see myself going, oh man, well, I don't need to work today. I really don't feel like it. I'll just hit it harder tomorrow to make up for today. Oh man, I haven't worked out in 3 days. That's okay, next week I'll work out 6 days. And I noticed this gap of dishonesty and disloyalty to myself of, number one, I'm not going to work out 6 days next week, because I know I'm going to be like, this is too much workload, this is too much on top of everything else. But I noticed this gap of me just disregarding reality and making this safe zone for myself. But truly, I'm letting things pile up more, and I'm going to be stressed that next week. Because that next week, I'm going to be like, damn, I'm so behind on making money. I'm so behind on physical health, working out. I'm so behind on spending time with my girlfriend. I'm so behind on... And then that stress just accumulates and piles and just rolls downhill on you. And the thing is, that shit is gonna roll downhill on you, and you are the one that's gonna catch it. That's inevitable. And I'm not judging anybody, but it's making for a hard life. I'm all for sitting there, being mindful, meditation, manifesting. All of that stuff works. All that stuff has gold in it, a lot. And here's another example. I'm big into manifestation. I've made a lot of amazing changes in my life, and I would justify cannabis use with manifestation, because I'm like, well, I'm gonna take this time and sit here and align my thoughts and feelings and maybe visualize and just create this beautiful life for myself. And although there was some awesome changes in my reality, right, some of the big things I wanted never showed up, and I would just scratch my fucking head and, man, I know I'm doing all this right. I watch Neuro Knowledge, I read Neville Goddard books, I read a Florence Shen book last week, and thoughts are things, and your words your wand, and my thoughts and feelings are aligned, but aligned action. You've got to have alignment across all 3 planes. So here's another gap in that thinking of, you can sit there and think and feel all fucking day, but if you're not taking aligned action, brother, you're fucked. And although I'm grateful to be 30 and to finally be getting my life together, imagine if I did this at 18, 21, 25. Imagine how far along I'd be. And that's something that stings me some days, you know? But truthfully, that shit does no good to dwell on that. I believe divine timing is perfect, but also the use of free will. I would use free will efficiently as I could, right? You know, but it's never too late. But why suffer more than you have to, you know? And cannabis is one of those things, like, it wasn't really intoxicating to me. Yes, you can get intoxicated on it, but I would justify it by saying using it medically. You know, I take a puff every couple hours, and you know, that's my medicine, that's my supplement. And yeah, it would help me focus, it would help me be clearer headed, it would help me be number, even though I wouldn't use that term because that sounds bad, but it's the truth. And once again, I'm not judging anybody because I've been there, but I'm just like, man, you're using up time. Imagine what you could have. Imagine what you could do. And I know it's hard to sit with those feelings. I know it's hard to sit with those fears, but nobody's going to do it for you. And that's the hard truth. Nobody is going to save you. And that's the hard truth. It's scary. But let that fear be a good fear. Let that fear be motivation. Nobody is going to save you. Nobody is going to stop these things for you. They can't. Let's talk about what this process of after you observed yourself in the moment and you truly be honest with yourself and be accountable of what you're doing. What's this quitting process look like? Because some people can just quit cold turkey. I've done it before, but honestly, when I've done it, I would end up relapsing because you're sort of missing the point. When you start observing these things and doing it with grace and no judgment, you'll notice yourself going from it. Like, for example, I was an all-day smoker, and then, you know, that next day, maybe I only smoked 4 times. That next day, I only smoked 2 times. And then I had about 4 days of only smoking 2 times a day, and I was like, you know what, this really just doesn't feel like it's doing a fucking thing. And I was like, wow, you know, what's the point in doing this if it's not doing anything? I'm feeling all that uncomfort, all that boredom. Well, I can do that sober. So that means I can figure that out sober. And then I noticed, I was just like, hey, I'm gonna try to go a day without smoking, see what happens. And, you know, if I mess up, okay, no, that's cool. Maybe I'll just be a once a day smoker. And then I went day 1 without smoking, and here we are on day 17. And it's that easy. And this is stuff your addiction counselors aren't going to tell you because of laws and legal proceedings and whatnot. And so that's why I wanted to share my point of view. And I'm going to be honest with you, though. When you stop, all these feelings of boredom, fear, are going to show their head at some point. And then you need to realize, and you need to sit down, and you need to be mindful and take the time of, what do I want in life? What's my goals? What do I want to look like? What do I want to be? And you need to set aside time to do that work. But you need to set aside time to do that relaxation. That's a big thing, because a lot of people that quit, they just instantly stay busy. And I did this with both addictions, right? Like, you want to stay busy. You'll take more hours at work. You'll work out even longer and harder. You won't sit down. You won't relax. You won't take a nap. You won't sit and talk to your girlfriend. You won't play that video game you love, because you're like, fuck, I need to be doing something to distract myself. Well, here you are falling back into distracting yourself sober, and then you're going to be like, well, I need something to not distract myself, and then you're going to be distracting yourself. And I've done all these things multiple times, but here's the uncomfortable part. You're gonna have to sit here. You're gonna have to go back to that couch. You're gonna have to sit back on that couch, and you're gonna have to sit with this boredom, sit with this fear, and you're just gonna have to feel it. And you're gonna have to breathe into it, and you're gonna have to be with it. It's not bad. It's not going to hurt you, but you have to feel this energy to therefore move it and let it go. And after doing that, you know, you connect more to that intuition. You connect more back to that self, to that default mode. And here's a beautiful thing, man. Like, you know, a lot of us do that stuff because we can't handle default mode. But once you start doing all this work, giving yourself grace, giving yourself love, learning, reading, when you get back to default mode, you're pleasantly surprised. As I was. Here's day 17, and I'm like, man, I miss this guy. This dude's awesome now. You know, and I'm going to be honest with you, all of this isn't one big massive shift with fireworks. It's hundreds of small shifts, you know? Because once you put this bullshit down, you're going to be like, hey, I've got so much fucking time. Well, you know, maybe find a physical fitness activity you love. Mine's kettlebells. Yours might be the gym. Yours might be bicycling, sprinting. Find something physical to move your body, especially when anger comes up. Oh my God. That was one of my big things I suppressed, was anger. You know, look into some kind of nutrition, some kind of dieting, you know. I call my diet the 85% clean diet. I eat 85% clean foods. You might do carnivore, you might do vegan, you might do keto. Whatever works for you. Whatever works for you, you know? Find some good material to read. Maybe you're more of a spiritual person like me. So I study spirituality. I like studying the roots of spirituality, you know. Maybe you're religious. Maybe study your religion more and you can find more ammunition for yourself to bring out that authentic self-love and just to see how amazing you are. You know, find some hobbies. Go fishing with that friend you've been ignoring. Go play that fucking video game that you love, but you're too busy getting fucked up. Go hang out with your girlfriend. Go to the park and bring a blanket or a towel to sit on and make some sandwiches and just sit and talk about something. It's literally these simple, tiny things that you would laugh at or make fun of and go, man, that ain't shit. Those are the little things in life that matter. Maybe go spend time with your mom, you know? Maybe go take that dog on a walk you've been ignoring. These things sound kind of personal, don't they? I know a little bit about them. They might be personal things I'm recommending, you know? But I want to let you know this isn't going to be done overnight, but these hundreds or thousands of small shifts you make compound, and then you got all this ammunition, and you're just compounding, you're rolling. And you're probably going to have you're still going to have bad days. I'm not going to lie to you. You're still going to have bad days. But you've got so much, you've got that fucking snowball that's done formed itself into the size of a boulder rolling down the mountain, dude. You've got this. It's just keep going. But have that balance. Take that relaxation day. Be easier on yourself. Look at how you talk to yourself. But being comfortably numb is not good. It's easy and it feels good, but it is not safe. Don't wait till you're 30. Don't wait till you're 40. Don't wait till you're 50. Don't wait till you're 60. It's never too late. But you know what you should be doing, and you know what's good for you. And if you don't, that's a good sign that you need to take the time to learn discernment and learn how to connect with that inner voice to know what's good for you. The point of life is to live. It is to find ways to have fun. It is to be abundant. It is to have love. You deserve all that. That's your birthright. The reason I decided to start talking about these things is because I knew two men. One was my father and one was my uncle, and I loved them dearly. And they were good men, very intelligent men. But my father chose to get sober at the age of 67. And at that point, he did so much damage. And I'm grateful he stopped. But to be honest, that he already did so much damage. And he already broke his immune system and his nervous system down so much. And those 8 good years we had together, he also had cancer all over his body. And I'm so grateful for those 8 years. But my dad kept that experience of being a good father and being a good friend to me away from me. And it still hurts me. And it hurts me because he was such a good man and he had so much potential. And he didn't think about how I also had to watch him break down in real time. And he also didn't know that would help. He also didn't know that experience would help spike my addiction. The thing I said I would never do was be an alcoholic. And without sharing too much detail, this death was not an easy death, and it was not a soft experience, and it wasn't a quick experience either. And I don't want to see anybody else go through this stuff, and I don't want anybody's family to experience this stuff, because the damage, not only it did to you, but the damage it does to your friends, your kids, your parents, your significant other is horrendous. And I really wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Give the world the experience of experiencing you. It is such a privilege to live your authentic life. It is such a privilege to be authentic you. And not only do you deserve that, other people deserve that. Because by being authentic you are aligned. You are aligned across all 3 planes. You are connected to the divine. Whatever that symbolism may mean to you, that may be God, that may be Allah, that may be Jehovah, that may be the source, or whatever you see that as. And that is that power living through you, and also giving through you, and also changing others' lives. And that is such a beautiful thing. It's such a beautiful thing when, you go through this season of change, and it's tough, and you're doing all this work, you're making those hundreds of small shifts, and they're compounding, and then you notice your mom or your girlfriend or your friend, all of a sudden they just start eating better. All of a sudden they just want to work out. All of a sudden they just want to go on walks. All of a sudden they're reading these books I'm reading, and they've got a smile on their face more. Or maybe they're taking more pride in their appearance. Or maybe they're eating better. And that is just one of those things that you just know you did. And I was like, wow, this is one of the gifts people don't tell you in real time, but I know I was responsible for all those things. And just the effect you have, you don't know. The effect I have, I didn't know. These good compounding choices domino effect across your life and others, and other people are like, hey, fuck, I'm worth being healthier. I'm worth eating better. I'm worth working out. I'm worth going on a walk. I'm worth, you know. Let me end this with, you are worthy of all the love in the universe. Love and abundance is a birthright. You are worthy of experiencing your authentic dream life. You are worthy of having fun, having purpose, having love, having abundance, and just being happy. And I know people don't tell you that. Nobody told me that. That seems impossible, but it's true. And I'm going to leave you with that. Thanks for watching.